Chair recognizes the gentleman from Wayne 52.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Permission to speak on the bill?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I want to commend the gentleman from Rockcastle for bringing this legislation and explain some of my experience when, Mr. Speaker, you and I and the gentleman from McGoffin traveled to visit some of these companies that are dealing in this technology. And I'll admit I was a little apprehensive about it. You know, the thought of getting in a vehicle with no one behind the wheel. But after seeing the technology that is employed on these vehicles, such as radar and LiDAR and the numerous cameras that are on the vehicles, the facial recognition that these cars and the technology in them deploy. I mean, they can determine by the facial expression on a pedestrian as to whether or not they're going to cross a street. What's their pace? You know, what gait are they walking in? And so that technology is really, I think, beyond Jetsons. And so I know the gentleman from McGoffin and you, Mr. Speaker, were in some of these meetings where some of the questions that are being raised were answered in my mind. First of all, we have to let them come into the state and do the mapping. They have to do the testing. And I think by doing that, some of the questions that the gentleman from McGoffin has raised would be alleviated. I remember in grade school when I was taught in geography about Columbus sailing around the world. And they talked about the earth being flat, you know. And all of a sudden, it's determined that the earth is not flat. It's round. And so I think we can employ some of the same thought processes, that there's technology out there that if we're not afraid of, that if we will embrace it, that we will find out that, hey, that technology actually works. So I would implore this body to support this bill. The workforce, there is going to be jobs out there. You know, we're facing a trucking shortage. We realize that. These are vehicles that could replace, you know, or fill in that gap. And then if there are jobs, more jobs created. You've got engineers, you've got drivers, you've got people that do the technical work on these vehicles to make sure that they're ready to go every day. So I think that if Kentucky is in the forefront of this technology, you know, we hear so many times, and I've heard the quote that Mark Twain once said, that if the end of the world ever came, I want to be in Kentucky because everything in Kentucky happens 20 years later. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're sitting here at an opportunity to put us ahead of the entire nation. Not that California is something that we want to aspire to be, but let's get their technology in Kentucky and let's employ it. And let's make it work for Kentucky, and let's make those jobs that are available out there that we all know are coming. I mean, if you think that autonomous vehicles are not going to be part of the lifestyle that we live in 20 years from now, I mean, we see drones flying. We're going to see battery-operated autonomous drones delivering people from location to location. That technology is already out there. And I think as Kentuckians and as this legislature, we need to embrace it and accept it and benefit from it. So I urge your support for this bill.